Hi, I'm Mike Murphy with Next Foils. I know if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in foiling. I've been foiling myself since 1966. I think I've been doing it for longer than anybody on the face of the earth, but I don't know. I was a partner in Air Chair. I owned Sky Ski. Now I have Next Foils. They're basically two different types of hydrofoils, and they kind of really intermingle. There's everything in between. There's a beginner foil, which is more like this foil, which is a very, very wide foil. It has a shorter strut. It's good for learning, but really the sport doesn't take that long to learn. So to invest in one of those just for a day or two really might not be the hot ticket, but it's also good for big guys. If you weigh over 250 pounds and you want to foil, this is the board for you. Okay? When it comes to your basic sit-down towable hydrofoils, you basically have two different types of skis, which are a light ski and a heavier ski. The light ski is simply lighter. When you're doing inverts, it makes a pretty big difference. There's several different types of towers, but you can narrow it down to two. There's a no suspension tower and a suspension tower. This is called a rock tower, okay? It basically has no suspension in it at all. When you land, you're going to get a pretty good landing, pretty hard landing, not good. Okay, when you start jumping high, you start doing inverts, and you ride a lot, you're going to want some sort of suspension in your tower. This is the suspension seat I make, okay? It basically has a carbon fiber spring that when you land, this compresses, and it gives you about 2 inches of suspension. When you land, it takes the sting out of the fall, out of the jump. Okay, when it comes to struts, you basically have a short strut, this being the strut, and you've got a longer strut. You can see it's substantially longer. The reason you would want a longer strut is, if you ever watched a sailplane do aerobatics or a hang glider or aerobatic plane, they always dive first. The reason they dive is to pick up speed. The longer you dive, the more speed you pick up. Same with these struts. The longer the strut, the more you can dive, the more speed you can pick up. But that's twofold. Think of a drag strip with the car. He goes a quarter of a mile. He goes 100 miles an hour in a quarter. If he could make that drag strip 500 feet longer, he might go 110 or 15. Same thing here. You have a longer runway. You have more strut to push you up in the air higher. So basically your struts are longer to get more air. But then what you get into is an alloy thing. A standard strut is made out of 60-61 aluminum. When you get to long ones, you need 70-75 so they don't bend. Okay, when it comes to wings, that's a horse of a whole different color. A lot of wings out there. They both have goods, they both have bads. For example, when you're learning how to fly, this is very, very, very sensitive, right? So you would want to go to a smaller wing. It's less up and down sensitive. Now, a larger wing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the bigger the wing, the higher it's going to push you. Taking a combination, that strut that you can pick up speed, the strut pushes you a long time, you got a big wing, you're going to go higher. That's great. That's fantastic. You go higher, you look better. It's great. What's the downside of that? They weigh a little bit more drag. But I'm old school. I'm used to landing like that. And when I used a big wing for the first time, it really hurt my back because it stopped quicker. But I figured out you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I figured out that if you land on the nose, you do a swoop landing, the landing's not that bad. I got to land as soft as a smaller wing. But what I have found out is that with the larger wings, these guys they're learning how to jump, which is great. It's good for learning how to jump. But they have a real quick relaunch. In other words, it takes off real quick again. So you get these guys learning how to do inverts. They're making the invert okay. They hit and they get thrown up into a second one. You might consider a smaller wing for learning inverts. It has the same 3 bolt pattern here. these 3 bolts line up with those 3 bolts, so you could use that. So it's just something to take into consideration. If you want to go with the big wing, buy a small wing too, for learning how to ride the first time and flips. As far as bindings go, there's basically 2 kinds of bindings, okay? There's the rubber binding, which stretches, fits any size foot. Some people don't like them because they say if their feet come out of them, they take a good hard fall, they could get whacked with the ski. Yes, that's a possibility. I prefer this type of bindings. And the reason I prefer this type of a binding is I've had my feet where they've been permanently attached in the binding, and I've been stuck underwater 3 times. Luckily I had those on, I could pull my feet out of them, I was gone. If I had on ones that you can't pull your feet out of, could be a problem. But it's not really a problem, right? It is a problem if you don't know how to get out of them in an emergency situation. It's not a problem if you know how to get out of them. So my suggestion would be, when you get in the water, put it on, take it off. See how quick you can get it taken off. With these bindings over here, the rubber ones, when I go in the water, every time I get out of it, I just grab my foot, I pull it and bring my foot out. I know I can get out of that quick. There's also a 3rd binding here. It's called a Malibu mark binding. A Malibu mark binding, you simply take the rubber off, you put that in there, you put that there. Now, if you ever fall, I think it's pretty easy just to undo that thing. And at the same time, it fits a lot of different feet because A, this is adjustable, and B, this is adjustable. Not to say this one over here, the cinch max, they're also adjustable. So you got all 3 of these which are adjustable. Just learn how to get your feet out of those type of bindings quick. Okay? I'm sure a lot of you are pretty confused. You don't know what to buy. You can call me up. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. If you go to www.nextfoils.com, my phone number is there, my cell phone number. You can call me up. I'll try to help you out. Have fun. Thanks. Bye.